Welcome back to the channel, you crazy SOBs. You're watching Bobby Boomsticks. Now, some of you might be confused. What happened to Rob's rifle rants?
I thought we were watching Scooby-Doo.
Well, after taking some time off, I've decided to revamp the channel, make it a little more focused, and Rob's rifle rants didn't really roll off the tongue, right? Especially if you can't say your R's. Rob's rifle rants. So, Bobby Boomsticks, I'm your host, Bobby. In today's subject, we're going to be talking about reticles. All kinds of different reticles for your gas gun, for your bolt gun, 5.56, your larger calibers. And I'm going to be going over kind of what I like, reticles I don't like, reticles that make me happy, reticles that make me sad, reticles that I wish I never had.
Nice, Rob.
All right, so everything reticles, okay? So let's go ahead and get into it. Before we do, we got to thank today's episode sponsor, Chicken Pesto Pasta MRE, quite possibly the worst combination of flavors mankind has ever created. All right, so the reticle I want to start with is simple, it's elegant. It's the premier Gen 2 mil-dot duplex etched reticle. So this reticle has been used by snipers back in Afghanistan up until present day. Before then, it was the Gen 1s, which were just the mil-dots, no stadia lines. And for your average shooter out there, I mean, this reticle, it's pretty simple and it's everything you need, honestly. So you can do holds for your elevation, holds for your windage. You can even do range estimation with it. So just to break it down a little bit, the center of that crosshair to that first mil dot, that's 1 mil, and then those stadia lines are half mils. And for range estimation, I mean, you can break down that mil to every decimal point besides like 0.3 and 0.7, I think. So it's pretty capable. So I would recommend this reticle for like a 2 to 10 or a 3 to 15 or 18. But with those magnifications, you're on a first focal plane, right? So any more magnification than that, you may want to look at a thinner reticle, because this one will get thick, dummy thick, with those higher magnification scopes. So I think this would be good for like a second focal plane LPVO too, of 1 to 8, 1 to 6. I haven't seen any with this reticle in it, but side note, I'd always recommend a second focal plane LPVO personally, because I'm either at 1 power or I'm at max power, 6 or 8. So I'm not really too concerned about having accurate mil readings in between there. And on 1 power, I'm not doing holes at all. So a lot of first focal plane LPVOs, that reticle can get pretty thin. So I personally just like second focal plane LPVOs. All right, next reticle we got is this glorious Leupold reticle. All right, what is this? The 1940s? Modern technology has allowed us to have way more advanced reticles. Like, what reticle was he using for like Enemy at the Gates? Let's look that up real quick. See, even this guy's got big ass stadia lines at least. So I wouldn't recommend this for like any rifle calibers. You're just really limiting what you can do with it. Maybe like Grandpappy's old shotgun or something. Now I feel like we got to look up the sniper with Tom Berenger. Let's see. Yeah, the younger dudes. So this has got to be the dopest reticle ever invented. He's got some sweet dots that like cycle back and forth at the bottom that do absolutely nothing. That's great. Gotta love movie magic. Fantastic film. Now I want to talk about BDCs a little bit. So BDC, if you don't know, is bullet drop compensator. So typically they have, you zero at a certain point and then they have yardage kind of marked with stadia lines on the reticle, such as this Strike Eagle AR BDC 3 MOA from Vortex. This is in a 1 to 6, and I'm not a huge fan of BDCs for the reason being that they're very specific on what type of gun they're accurate for, right? So this reticle is designed for 5.56 or 223, 55 to 77 grain, 2,700 to 3,000 feet per second for the muzzle velocity. So for one, that's kind of a wide range of specifications. So your point of impact should shift off that. Because whenever you true up this reticle to your gun, the lines might not add up, and that just seems a little less intuitive to me. Me personally, I'd rather have even measurements of mils and just know my dopes. So I'd rather have an optic that's a little more versatile in calibers, that I can swap on different guns if I want to or need to, and it'll still work. But that being said, this is probably one of the better BDCs that I've seen. What I really like about it is the wind dots they have on it. So all going down the side, you can see it's got the 4, the 5, the 6. That's for 400, 500, 600 yards. And then off to the side, they have these dots that are kind of unevenly spaced out. You can see at the bottom where that 10 is, that is mile per hour for windage. That means that second dot at that range is for a 10 mile per hour full value wind. When I say full value, I mean, if I'm shooting straight ahead, the wind's hitting directly on the side of me, right to left or left to right. So if you got a 5 mile per hour wind, it's the dot in, and then it goes out to 15 miles per hour. So those are pretty cool. I actually got a pretty good system for range estimation too. So if those up at the top here, if those stadia lines match up a silhouette's shoulder width, then that corresponds with 300, 400, 500, or 600 yards that they're at, right? So pretty cool, well thought out BDC. I'm personally going to go with regular mil increments. So, all right, this BDC is the classic ACOG. This one will never die. ACOGs are never going to go away. They're always going to be cool. So this is your typical reticle that comes in one. They also have the horseshoe pattern. This is probably one of the more common BDCs that people have seen. And you got the breakdown right here. So similar to Vortex's BDC, this one has those stadia lines for range estimation as well. Doesn't have the wind dots or anything fancy like that, but it's just a classic, so I had to throw it in there. All right, so this next reticle is the reticle that I actually have on my Vortex Viper PST Gen 2. It's a 1:6. And it's nice and simple. It's got everything I need on it. It's just 1 mil increments for those stadia lines. I do wish it had mil increments on the top crosshair there. It just helps me eyeball corrections a little bit better. Or if I'm shooting closer in, anything like that. So it's pretty simple, and I can find my holds pretty easily with it. And this reticle actually has a really good red dot, second focal plane, like I said, so that reticle stays the same no matter what magnification I'm at, which I like. It's not too busy or anything at 1 power, and I can do everything I need with it at max power. So I'm happy with it. It's got a good illuminated red dot. It feels like a red dot at 1 power to me, so I'm happy with it. All right, now let's go over reticles for you Long John Silvers out there that want to shoot long range. You got a high powered optic, something to the likes of 25 power, and you need a more robust reticle, a little more precise reticle for your bolt gun. So whether you're shooting 6.5 up to 338 Lapua 50 BMG, you're going to want something a little thinner at that magnification, and something that gives you a little more options if you want to do holds, something that gives you a little more precise of a hold. So this is a Tremor 3, and this one's got some pretty cool features on it. So the numbers going down indicate your mil holds, and then you have wind dots. So like the BDC we saw before, this has wind dots going down as well, right? But what I like about this one is that you can a little more accurately true up what those wind dots mean to your gun that you're shooting it out of. So with a ballistic calculator or anything, you can figure out if that second dot is for 4 mile per hour or 5 mile per hour, depending on how your cartridge battles the wind. So if you don't know what the hell I'm talking about, maybe I'll go deeper into it in a different wind video, but I've grown to know and love this system. So, and I've learned to do this faster than I can do a quick wind calculation in my head, right? So pretty cool system. It's got 0.2 mil increments. So, looking back at your BDCs and comparing them to the LPVO scopes, it's got tiny measurements. So this is a very thin reticle, like I said before. So another popular option for for long range shooters is like a grid system. So instead of the wind dots that you have going down like the Tremor 3, you just have standard mil measurements. So you can do a quick wind call and kind of find that exact spot. And I will say this does give you a more precise point of aim if you're doing wind and elevation holds compared to like the spaced out wind dots, where a lot of times you're just kind of holding in free space to make that shot. But I've just fell in love with the Tremor 3. These are great options too for like the same magnification range, I would say. Probably one of your more popular ones. This is the H59 by Horus. They make a lot of good stuff. So either one of those styles I really like for long range. So, all right, let's put this guy up. All right, now I want to talk about this reticle my buddy showed me the other day, mainly just to call him out, make fun of him a little bit, because he was an Army officer. So I feel like as a grunt, it's kind of my responsibility to make fun of him whenever I can. So this is the reticle he had in his Trigicon LPVO. This is like almost worse than the 1940s crosshair. You have nowhere to do holds. He's got this like abstract, hipster art of a reticle that just doesn't make any sense.
It's called hentai, and it's art.
So Trigicon, why are you doing this to people? But on the other hand, Trigicon also has this for their credo, the IMRAD segmented circle first focal plane. And I really like this reticle actually. So it's actually got 0.5 mil increments, which I don't see too often in LPVOs. So that's pretty cool. And then it is first focal plane, so it does get thin, but that's where those red kind of
We just love to watch them roll around and just stare. But most of that is because their brain levels are the equivalent of being stoned all the time. They have the smallest brains of any known mammal.
Quarter circles around kind of help you find the center of your reticle. So I really like this. I really like the credos too, just looking through them. If only I could afford them.
I'm broke, baby. I ain't got no money.
All right, so this is the reticle that they have in the Mark 6s. I think Leupold could have picked a better BDC on this one. I think the Vortex one we looked at earlier has got a lot more going for it. I do like the simplicity of this in that donut shape with the dot. I really like, but for the price of this optic, I feel like they could have did a little more with the reticle. All right, so this reticle right here is offered in the Vortex Razor HDs. I really like these reticles. It's got the same mil-est as the BDC we saw earlier. And it's just got basic mil increments all the way down. It's got a nice point of aim there in the center with that dot. I like that a lot. And it's got everything you need to have your holds for wind and elevation. Checks all the boxes. It's fairly simple. And it's got a nice duplex whenever you zoom in. And this guy also has 0.5 mil increments, it looks like. So that's pretty sweet. This reticle looks like it's got pretty much everything you want, minus that top crosshair, but that's not too big of a deal. So as we can see, there's a lot of options out there for reticles, and I hope you're able to kind of find what reticle fits your style. You know what I mean? We all have different opinions. We all have different styles that we like to shoot with. So hopefully these recommendations will get you to find the right one for you. I want to end this video with a little positive message. If you have a firearm, it is your responsibility to know how to use it. It is your responsibility to know the inner workings of it and to use it safely, and when to use it and when not to use it. A lot of damage is being done inside the community of just people not knowing what they're doing with their own gun. Okay, so educate each other. That's why I'm doing this channel. And hopefully we can all get better. Thanks for stopping in. Please give me a like, subscribe. I'm signing off, so shoot better and suck less.